everybody. Thank you for tuning in with us again. This is Tom Jennings, and I'm here with, of course, my good friend. Can I call you a good friend, Dode?
Absolutely.
All right. Friends in Todd, I guess will be my new expression for my Todd friends. But Dode, welcome back. Here we are, episode 2 of hopefully, these kinds of things. You have more as you get closer to the event. But right now we are in the planning stages of Dodefest, right? Not Dode Stock.
Not Dode Stock. Dodefest 24.
Dodefest 24. Now, the previous episode, it is, if you go back, you can find it. That's episode number 1. Just a recap. Ultimately, what we're looking at is an event that kind of captures the spirit of both, like a Todd Stock and maybe with elements of a Rundgren radio event, because those are kind of the two big events that the Todd Rundgren fan community has had over the last, since 2009, since when we really started getting those great gatherings for the AWAT show. I think the post, can you see the poster? Yeah, there it is. And, combining music, community, all that kind of good stuff. As far as a firm date yet, is anything pinned down? Are we looking at a particular window? I mean, where are we at in terms of that right now, Dode?
Well, my birthday is September the 24th. And so that's like a Tuesday of 2024. And so I'll be 60 years old. And when we started this whole thing in Hawaii, Todd turned 60 years old when everybody camped out in his yard, the first Todd Stock. So I thought, that'll be a good opportunity for me to do it, given the 75th birthday party out there and all like that. And it doesn't seem like there was anything on the horizon to be happening. I said, maybe this is an opportunity. And because it's late in the fall and South Carolina weather can be so humid, that's a good time of year to do it. Well, of course, I would like to get as many participants as I could. And I don't really have any new pertinent information about Todd and whether or not he might be able to join us. And so I'm sort of keeping a firm date. I can't really target a firm date, but I'm going to say somewhere between, my birthday, September 24th, within a 1 or 2 week window of that, hopefully, just to kind of have a larger framework in case I was actually able to get Todd to come or request Todd to come or, have him show up. I would hate to paint myself into a corner by naming a specific date, and then it turned out that date was a conflict for him. So I've got several moles doing investigative research for me. And of course, we're a long ways away. We're over 9 months away. Right. And when they did the Todd Stock, that was only 6 months out. So, it's hard to project something in the distance that far for anyone. And I apologize to my potential attendees who have to take off time from work and they need a specific date. I apologize to them, and I totally understand that. But I would like my friends and utopians to grant me a bit of leeway so that I could have a better chance of getting Todd to actually be there.
Yeah.
And you're right. In the next podcast, I will have a specific date, or in between now and the next podcast, I will be able to share through Facebook a specific set of dates. I'm hoping so, because I'm thoroughly investigating it.
Yeah. And you did mention too, I said 09 would have been the first fan gathering, but obviously the first one was Todd Stock. That was in 08. I wasn't at that one. That's why it wasn't at the top of mind. But usually the Todd Stocks have been around Todd's birthday, which is June. So again, this is going to be something that's in the fall, which people are kind of used to that time of year as well. But I would assume, but if people don't know in terms of planning and logistics, maybe the best example would be the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So when Todd was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he had already had scheduled tour dates. and I suppose he could have moved them around or done something to accommodate the Rock Hall, so he could have appeared, but that was firm, and I think at that point he just said, ah, the heck with it, I'll perform the show rather than show up at the ceremony. And obviously there's a ton of other politics that were involved that we don't need to get into, but from a logistical planning standpoint, any artist, like there's a term called routing. A lot of times you have to take the show that happens to be the one in the window where they're in the area doing something, or in your case, Dode, if it's a one-off or multiple days or whatever, it has to be during a time when his schedule is wide open. And I'm sure you can appreciate that if he's already on tour with a full staff and having to pay all those salaries and everything like that, it would be much harder for him to break off for 4 or 5 days to come across the country if he was in LA than it would be, say, if his schedule was open, or for that matter, use Dodefest as a starting point for maybe some other things. So if he books a show and you're down south in Carolinas, right?
Not South Carolina, right in the center of South Carolina.
So yeah, so he could pick up some dates in Florida, all that kind of stuff. So yeah. So at the end of the day, and I think you agree, and I'm sorry I'm rambling a little bit too much, but these events sometimes turn into you have people in Group A, which is like, come hell or high water, I'm not going unless Todd's there.
Right.
And you got Group B, which is like, I'd love to have Todd there, but at least we could be together. And there's a lot of other things that we can do that are Rundgren / Utopia related that are not entirely dependent on Todd's presence. So right now I assume you have 2 tracks. You're planning the A track, which is ideal. We want Todd. And then B track, which is, even if he ain't here, we're going to figure out a way to make this thing worth your while attending. I mean, is that pretty much where you're at right now?
Absolutely. And I'm thinking, worst case scenario is just Dodefest, and it's just those who are dedicated and know me well enough to know I'm always throwing a good time and always got, a great attitude and gonna have fun no matter what, no matter who attends or what I get to go on in this. Don't know who I might be able to get to play and whether we have to make it totally organic. It's gonna, even the worst case scenario is gonna be wonderful. But trying to nail down a date is, of course, I want Todd to be there, and so I'm dragging my feet a little bit and trying not to name a date because I'm totally free, and a lot of other people are totally free. So we know we got the worst case scenario in the bag, and it's going to be a good time. So it's just a matter of trying to name a date that we thought that we wouldn't shoot ourselves in the foot and not be able to get Todd if we could, that kind of thing. So
Yeah. I mean, and it's, my assumption is based on what I know about how this stuff works, and I'm not by any stretch the imagination an expert. I cover concerts and I've spoken to a lot of promoters and people like that. So I have a sense of what they do. A lot of that stuff they keep close to the hip because it is, they have their techniques and whatnot. But I would say it's probably safe to assume you're looking at maybe, typical tours could be booked out as much as, 9 months to over a year in advance. So
I would say
they
definitely, might be within 6 months of September, October, within 6 months, you're going to definitely know this is the exact date. 6 months. I'd like for it to be 9 months, but to tell you, where I'm at right now, that I have a specific date, I would appreciate it if I could sort of keep a little narrow window of a week or 10 days or 2 weeks in there. So I'm going to say late September, early October, due to the environment, due to my birthday and that kind of stuff. Somewhere in that little window right there is where I'd like it to be. Now, let's say I do get a hold of Todd 6 months later and he says, hey, I can come there on Halloween night. I mean, I'd have to cancel some flights and rearrange them. I don't know what we would do, but just would like to keep my options open for as long as possible. And I have to apologize to people who won't get time off from work and these kind of things and want to get their flights and their hotels and all that kind of stuff. They want a specific date.
Yeah, this
If
is
it was all about me, I could say September 24th, my birthday, the week of September 24th. It was all about me. And I said, well, I don't care whether he comes or not. This is all about Dode and Dodefest. And I know we're going to have a good time no matter what. And I got this new album that I'm going to share with everybody. And I know I got a lot of friends who can play music. You know, it's all about me. I could give you an exact date today. But I like to, it's all about all this community started because of Mr. Rundgren. And so I would like to get him there if I could. And I've been told by a lot of people that I got a really good chance, but he just can't give me a specifics right now because it's too far away. It's too far in the future.
And it's a business. And again, a lot of times it's a question of, what's the better deal that's on the table? And that may not even be a monetary thing. It just may be, it's something that appeals to him that he'd rather do this than you'd rather do A than B. But this is, to me, this is, and maybe you can speak to this as well in terms of how you feel about it. I mean, to me, this is one of the kind of the odder times in terms of the history of Todd and Todd fandom, because there really isn't a sense as to what's on the horizon. I mean, I know there's talk about Patronet. There's no real clear tour. We spent a lot of time on the road with Daryl Hall. I mean, he seems to kind of hung on to that, sort of like he hung on to the Ringo thing for quite a while. Haven't really heard anything about a new album, so it's like, and there are no big events as opposed to, before when you go, and this is the way it always was, I'm sure that Rundgren Radio had to deal with this, as did Toddstock or whoever, Spirit of Harmony, when they did some of their events as well, that it's like you have to, everybody knows you got to kind of budget two things. You got to budget the money, you got to budget the time. So the good thing, I guess, is that it doesn't seem like there's anything else competing in terms of a fan gathering event, unless I am completely oblivious to what's going on in the fan community, because I have heard nothing to that.
I am going to do this come hell or high water.
Yeah, right.
And I am going to do my best to put the most talented musical program I can together for the people who pledge to come. And I'm going to promise to have daily activities that are stimulating and fun. And it's going to be worth it, whether he's there or not. No, I can promise you that. But if I could get that cherry on the cake, that icing on the top, I would like to reserve the right to try to do that. But it's going to be fantastic no matter what, and we'll just have to wait and see. Hope, keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, very first event, very first Todd related event I went to was called Utopia Fest, and this was back in, I want to say 85, 86 at a little hotel in, maybe even a motel in Connecticut. And Todd wasn't there. Murph Summers was there. Mary Lou Arnold. I believe, Todd's mother was there. So she was there, even though Todd wasn't. And I think she'd been in a couple as well. So there are ways to kind of put together things that are very enjoyable. And that event, honestly, was the one that introduced me to a lot of people that are still very near and dear to me to this day. I mean, you're looking at coming on 40 years from that event. So, not to sound morbid, but we just have to be realistic. We're not getting any younger. So we did it at some point, have kind of a, pre-COVID, there was almost this ability to count on at least one, potentially two major fan gatherings a year. And then, of course, every 5 years you'd have the Toddstock. So yeah, I mean, I believe that we just really have to take advantage of these opportunities, whether Todd's there or not, because again, it to me, it's about more than just the music. It really is about the community.
Absolutely.
That's what we're doing. We still need each other, as the line goes in the song.
I may have said it before, and I'll say it again at the risk of repeating myself, but when I went to upstate New York in 2011 to the first Todd camp, it was all about trying to get, in Todd's presence and speak to him and tell him, thank you for changing my whole life. Your music and your message, it has made my life so much more wonderful. I just want to thank you. And very quickly, it turned into that pursuit of the fandom of one person into all the relationships of the fans that I met while I was there. And through Facebook, you accumulate these Todd Rundgren friends, and it changed from, this worshiping or trying to get to one individual, Todd Rundgren, to the relationships of all the fans and stuff. So definitely at Dodefest, there's gonna be those relationships and those fun times and all that kind of stuff. That, yeah, I can promise that. I definitely can promise that, and I know that will be good and fun, and no matter what. So I would just like to lean on that and say that's what it's turned into being all about. What you just said, and so he wouldn't need to be there for that to happen.
No,
He
no,
won't.
you're
He don't.
right.
He doesn't
Yeah,
need to be there for that to happen. And
yeah.
there are a lot
Again,
of other talented musicians in and around this community, and so we know the music's going to be good. And then we know that the side trips that I have planned with, boat trip of all of us on a boat up on Lake Murray, and plantation tours, and day trips to Charleston, and actually the a setting of my farm and the rural setting and whatnot, the camping, the shuttling, the togetherness. It's going to be great, and it's well worth whatever we have to put up to try to pay for it and make us break even. So I'm not afraid of any of that. Just like to reserve the right to try to get a specific date when Mr. Rundgren might be able to attend.
and
Until
and
I,
so right now, aside from you and I, this is the second one of these we've done. There is a Facebook group that has been started, so I can put a link to that in the show
yeah,
notes. So that's
Dodefest
really did you
2024.
and you've got somebody helping you in terms of the organizing it and
Yeah.
the marketing and all that stuff.
Yes, and we've got, I think, 238 members in that group. So the next thing that will happen is just like with Todd Stock, there will be another page created called um, Definite Dode Stock Attendees or
Yeah,
Committed or whatever the right word is.
registered.
Registered
Yes.
attendees, will be the next page, and then that public page is going to go dormant basically because you're not going to be able to go over to the private page without some kind of pledge to participate, and that would be like a deposit. And I've got all the banking information set up so that that can happen, and we can get the financial the funds over here so that we can start looking at the logistical infrastructure, and the food and the porta johns or the bathrooms or the showers or the everything that it takes to pull one of these kind of fun times off, that we will have to put in the infrastructure like we did in Virginia or wherever else, stage tents. You know, I'm going to have to book a boat on Lake Murray. I'm going to have to probably put down a deposit with that guy and promise him I'm going to have you know, a certain amount of people to come to that. I'm going to have to, get some buses. I'm going to have to do some major planning, and I'm going to need some money probably to have to put down deposits on all of that. So this extra page over here will be for definite serious people who are willing to come to Dodefest, probably whether Todd's going to be there or not, with the hope that he might be. And we'll go forward from them, and we will know uh, the specific dates very soon after that.
Yep. And it's December, so we're looking at I guess you're probably looking at things starting to get hot and heavy around, let's say February. Is that a fair time frame?
I would say so.
Yeah.
We're definitely talking on a daily basis, emailing, text messaging, already with the logistics and the financial connections and trying to establish the foundation of everything that you got to have when you first get these kind of things started. Of course,
Yep.
it's my first time ever, so I'm learning. But having gone to the 10 different Todd stocks, I kind of feel like I got a good handle on what I'm going to need to pull it off. So, as I said before, the first Todd stock, we know what we had fun doing. We know what turned into be a drag or was too arduous or was too hard to pull off or made people not have fun. So it's going to be more of the things that we enjoyed about the last 10 years and less of the things that we didn't enjoy. And more longer sets of music with more professional musicians with longer listening times and less on the stage and off the stage and on the stage and off, too much interchanging of stuff, more concrete groups up there, maybe only 3 acts each night, an opener, a middle road person, and then a headliner each night for 4 or 5 nights in a row, that kind of thing, with jam sessions and ukuleles and that kind of stuff going on during the day or on the sidebars and picnic tables and shade trees and around the campfire after everything is over. But the stage itself and the festival itself would have more professional or semi-professional acts up there for longer periods of time. So if anyone who's a musician who's thinking about, am I going to get to play? Am I going to get to sing? Am I going to get to bang on the drum all day? That would be the format. The format will be more towards the professional to the semi-professional acts, less acts each night for longer periods of time with more sitting and listening and enjoying yourself and lots more free time with side trips and eating and fellowship than like you got to work all the time. You got the whole thing turns into a job and you didn't get to have any fun because you were constantly trying to do this or do that or do this. Less of that.
Yeah. Makes sense. All right. Well, listen, I guess you shared some music files with me. Unfortunately, I was going to try to do it while we were actually recording. So I guess the best thing to do is if you want, why don't you give me introduction to those 3 cuts? I'll put up like an image or something like that, and we can play those as well. Or again, I could set it up as a secondary thing, or we could visit it another time when I figure out how to actually play the songs. Maybe that's the better thing to do, Dub, when I figure out how to play it during the podcast, because then we can talk about the cuts. That'll give us a chance to maybe get together in early January, because again, I don't know that in January there's going to be a whole ton of other updates per se. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. So briefly, I've got a new album with 12 songs on it that I recorded with Andy Kravitz in Venice Beach, California, and with Fernando in Sherman Oaks, California. I did 3 songs with Fernando, and I did 9 songs with Andy Kravitz, who's 8-time Grammy winner, producer, drummer extraordinaire. Have Kenny Emerson on 2 songs, have Durga McBroom, several other well-known musicians. I've mastered it. The songs are all mastered, and I would like to share a few of those songs with you. And what I'm thinking is, if you would, commit to coming to Dodefest, I would probably give you a way to get the album ahead of time, download or whatever for free. That would be part of your initiation fee or whatever you want to say, your non-refundable deposit. I would guarantee you a copy of the album before it actually comes out in the hard case CD with the liner notes and the album art, the cover art, and all that kind of stuff. The album be called Dodecahedron which is a 12-sided multi-dimensional geometrical figure. That's kind of me. So Scott Fernando and Durga and Andy and Kenny Emerson. And I'm going to give Tom 3 songs to share with you through the podcast. 3 is a perfect pair. I Ain't No Howley and Cosmic Karma Connector. And all of these songs are off the new album. I'll be sharing those with Tom to put on the podcast. Maybe next episode.
Yeah, we'll do a next episode. Speaking of which, I literally leaned over in my record room because I've been listening to this recently. Look at this. You recognize that record?
King Crimson.
3
I understand they have a song that's it's not quite that same title though, is it? It's a little bit different.
It's 3 of a perfect pair.
3 of a perfect pair. So mine is 3 is a perfect pair.
Yeah.
And
when you said that, this was the first thing I thought of. Was this particular record?
There's no copyright on song titles, so you can have you can have the same title to each of a song. But I can promise you that my 3 is a perfect pair is about a totally different subject.
Yeah, no. I mean, King Crimson. Think about King Crimson. Half the times I hear the songs, I got no clue what they're talking about anyway. So I'm just like, wow, this stuff's incredible. What are they even talking about? So
I hope everyone has a happy holiday season. I got through Thanksgiving. I got through my my oldest son's marriage. But the week before Thanksgiving, I got another son getting married in April. So it's been very busy with me. I've been sick a couple of times during the holidays from being around too many people in too close quarters. But I'm looking forward to a good Christmas and Happy New Year and all like that. And things are good down here on the farm. And I'm looking forward to putting on a good festival, wherever the chips may fall.
Yeah. Long as they're not cow chips, right?
As long as they're not buffalo chips.
Yeah, buffalo chips. And I'm in Buffalo, so that makes sense. But
you are.
All right. Well, all right. Well, Dode, thanks. As always, it's a pleasure to catch up. Said we'll figure out a way to get those songs. I'll poke around a little bit. It's because we just I don't know. I was out golfing this morning, Western New York.
Nice.
In December, we get like one day in the month of December we can actually get outside. Today happened to be it, and didn't really have time to kind of figure out how to play the songs while we were recording this thing. But I don't know. I'll ask a couple people, and they should be able to figure it out for us. And we'll get that one on the episode in January. So we'll plan on reconvening about second week of January. In the meantime, any questions, comments, things like that, get in the Facebook group. I can share some email information too. If you like
DodeHBricket@gmail.com.
There you go.
There is a video and one of the other songs on the Facebook page. So there is some early teasing released info, already out there on the Facebook. So check that out. I'm very excited about it.
All right. Very good. Well, happy holidays, everybody, from myself and from Dode. And we will see you in about 3 or 4 weeks.
Thank you.
All right.